Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, we're going to go on a little bit of a road trip today. We're going to go visit the grave of Denver Pyle. Denver Pyle had a really long acting career, but what I mainly knew him from was being Uncle Jesse on the Dukes of Hazzard. And I love that show. My dad and I used to watch that all the time, every week when it was on, and it was just must-see TV. And I found out just recently, about a week ago, that Denver is actually buried right here in Texas. Actually, I found out on Facebook. I was just kind of scrolling through, and one of those suggested for you articles popped up, and it was an image of John Schneider, who played Bo Duke on the Dukes of Hazzard, resting by what looked like a memorial for Denver Pyle. It turns out it wasn't a memorial for him. It looked like it was some sort of a marker somewhere else. I don't even know where it was, but it turned out between the first and last name there was a image of the state of Texas. And I said, is Denver Pyle buried in Texas? And I went and looked it up, and yes, he is. And then the next question is, how far away is it? Because Texas is a big place, and turns out it's only about 70 miles from here. I figured that's worth a look. So we're going to go to Forreston, Texas today, and we're going to check out the unmarked grave of Denver Pyle. Let's go. All right, we've arrived in Forreston. Yeah, this is just a little teeny tiny town. It's got a single off ramp off the freeway, and that's basically all it is. And this is the Forreston Cemetery. All right, here we are at the front end of Forreston Cemetery. Now, looking at this on the map, I would have got the impression that this is one of those ancient cemeteries that you find floating around Texas from time to time. But it looks like this one's only been established, was established in 1985, so it's not that ancient. We're headed on back there, and I know approximately where this is, but I've decided to park at the front end of the cemetery and just kind of walk, because you know me, I like walking through cemeteries. I'm just kind of weird that way. It's actually a really pretty cemetery. Sometimes some of these really old cemeteries get really run down here, and this one seems pretty well kept up. I'm gonna walk over here and look at this. Looks like there's like a gargoyle on this thing. I don't think so though. I think that's like an angel. Yep. We're headed towards that big old tree over there. Supposedly that's right in the middle of that section there is where Denver is buried. In fact, if my memory is correct, over there where that big marker is, that's where we're going. That's the Johnston grave. Yeah, there's like one big tree in the whole place. Now it's not entirely certain why he was buried in an unmarked grave, but yeah, this is a grave of his final wife's parents. So J.T. Johnson and Aaron Birch Johnson are buried here, and he was married twice. Now there's a lot of speculation about where exactly it is that he's buried. Some people, Wikipedia says that he's buried alongside, which would either be here or on the other side over here. But there's also some people that speculate that he may have been buried in this marker behind here, or in this area back here. But this is the final resting place of Denver Pyle. Right next to that big tree. Now, Denver Del Pyle was born on May 11th, 1920, and passed away on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1997. He died of lung cancer. He had a very long career in TV and movies that spanned about 50 years. He played a character called Briscoe Darling in several episodes of The Andy Griffith Show. Of course, I knew him as Jesse Duke in the Dukes of Hazzard. He played Mad Jack on the NBC TV series The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams. He was Texas Ranger Frank Hammer in the Bonnie and Clyde movie. He was a lawman who relentlessly chased down and killed Bonnie and Clyde in that movie. He had a bit of a military career too. He started off actually as a musician, and then when World War II came along, he entered into the service. Now, it's not really certain what branch he was enlisted in, but some people say it was the U.S. Navy or the Merchant Marines, possibly both. In addition to the shows I've already mentioned, he was also an outlaw in the 1951 television series The Lone Ranger. He was on the Gene Autry Show, Gunsmoke, The Man Who Shot Liberty Vance, Black Leather Jackets from the Twilight Zone. See, that was one of the ones that caught my attention too, because I've always been a huge Twilight Zone fan, and I didn't remember specifically the episode Black Leather Jackets, but what it was is these three bikers came into town and on motorcycles with matching black leather jackets. It turns out they were aliens, and they were part of an advanced team that was going to take over the Earth. And they move in next to this young lady and her father. Her father was played by Denver Pyle, and basically the young lady falls in love with one of the bikers, and that kind of distracts him from his ultimate job, and he ultimately ends up getting arrested because she lets her father know that he's saying weird things about how the world is going to end, and how they're there to take over and wipe out the human race and all that. Turns out the father calls the police, and the police officer that comes over is part of the advanced team that's there for the invasion, and he's basically, the end of the episode is him being taken away in a straitjacket. And I always thought that was a great one. I also thought it was kind of fun in this one, learning that Denver Pyle was the second alumni of the Dukes of Hazzard who was also in a Twilight Zone episode, because James Best, who played Roscoe P. Coltrane, was in a couple of episodes of the Twilight Zone, including one of my favorite episodes called The Last Rites of Jeffrey Myrtlebank. But in addition to that, he was on the TV series The Streets of San Francisco. He was in a movie called Escape to Witch Mountain, the TV show Kung Fu, and even The Love Boat. Now, shortly after his acting career began winding down a bit, he started up a charitable organization called Uncle Jesse's Fishing Tournament in Lamar County, Texas. It ran for 10 years, and it actually still is in operation. And in the 10 years he was alive, it collected more than $160,000 to support children's programs in the town. Now, within a few years of the ending of the Andy Griffith Show, Denver Pyle began investing in oil wells that were kind of near the end of their lifetime. And he bought these when oil was selling at about $2 a barrel. By 1981, there was new technology that allowed them to collect some of the remaining oil in these wells. And at that point, the price had risen to $46 a barrel. And he actually died a very wealthy man. He actually said that he made more from drilling oil than he ever did in 30 years of acting. So I thought that was kind of fun. Now, he said he continued to work as an actor even though he was making more money as oil, because the acting money allowed him the funds he needed to do his oil speculation. And besides, he said, I liked acting. It's fun. So Denver Pyle, like I said earlier, died of lung cancer on Christmas Day 1997. The memorial service was held January 6, 1998 in the First Baptist Church of Waxahachie. And he's buried in an unmarked grave in the Forreston Cemetery, Forreston, Texas. His remains are interred beside his second wife, Tippy Johnson's parents, James T. Johnson and Aaron Birch Johnson. And I find it kind of interesting that a cemetery that was established in 1987 has markers on it that are where the person died in 1919. That seems to be a bit of a glitch in the matrix. Here's another one. Frog, 1936. Markers like this are always particularly tragic. Baby was stillborn, 1918. Rest in peace, Denver Pyle. You won't be forgotten. Now back in this part of the cemetery, it seems like there's really, really old markers. I'm wondering maybe if this was another cemetery at one point. Yeah, I can see 1899, 1912. There's a bunch of them here that have these Woodmen of the World memorials. Because I saw a few of them over there also, including one of them that fell down. There's another one that looks like it's fallen over. It's sad when some of these markers don't hold up over time. But I guess the glue that they use to glue the two parts together can't hold up to the elements all the time. And then you get over here, it's just really, really recent ones. 2015. That's kind of a beautiful marker, huh? McGrady. I guess that's probably him out in front of his house with his cows. There's one over here that's pretty well decorated here. Somebody brought a chair out over here to sit and visit whoever their loved one is here. This one just passed away. Real young, looks like 22 years old. Here's another one of those Woodmen of the World memorials. And there's one back there too. I'm wondering, because of the sheer number of these markers that predate the cemetery, if these were like people who were buried somewhere else and then moved here when this cemetery opened up. Because some of these markers that have been here for 60 years, they look remarkably well preserved, considering how long they've allegedly been out here. So I think that's all that I have today. I'm glad I came out here to see this, even though I'm not sure exactly where it is on the property he's buried. It's still good to come out and pay my respects. Like I said, Denver, I really loved him as Uncle Jesse on the Dukes of Hazzard, and it's good to know that you know, where he is, and that he's kind of surrounded by loved ones and all that. So hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.